Good afternoon, everyone. This is Anthony with Puget Sound Stormwatch on Facebook and YouTube. You guys are probably wondering where I've been all of this time. It's been a week since my last briefing and 6 days since I've done anything on this channel overall. And the reasoning behind that is because I've been going through some extreme mental burnout when it comes to weather. Unfortunately, even I get tired talking about warm and dry weather day after day after day. However, confidence is high that that's not going to be the case anymore, at least for the short and midterm. Let me show you exactly why right here. So we're taking a look here at the visible satellite imagery combined with radar. We have this really deep low pressure system moving into Juneau, Alaska right now, and northern parts of British Columbia. This frontal feature right here is going to give us several chances of seeing measurable rain around western Washington over the next few days or so, through Monday. The back end of this frontal feature here is going to bring a likely sustained rain chance to our area Sunday night, going into Monday morning, and throughout the day Monday. Let's look at this morning's run of the NAM3 cam. This is the 12Z, so the 5 a.m. run. And it shows areas of isolated showers moving out from central Vancouver Island, parts of Vancouver, BC, and the extreme northwestern part of our coverage area, which includes the coast of Washington, as well as parts of Bellingham in vicinity, possibly north of Skagit County. Now it does show an area of what looks like showers moving in as well as we go into tomorrow morning, but this likely won't bring any measurable precipitation. We do have a little dry slot of air near the surface that will allow for most of this precipitation to evaporate before it hits the ground, but the heavier sustained precipitation will likely break through this layer much more easily. So as we go in through the afternoon tomorrow, we really just have these showers confined to the northwest coast and the northwest interior. Not much, if any, for a lot of the western Washington lowlands and vicinity. Then as we go into Sunday afternoon, notice how you see this frontal feature start to pop up off the coast. This is likely going to bring our greatest chance of sustained rain to the area sometime either Sunday night going into Monday afternoon. These are total precipitation amounts for the area over a 60-hour period from 5 a.m. today to 5 p.m. Sunday. So notice how it picks up the front off the coast, but it doesn't pick up much here inland. It mainly stays north of Snohomish County, affecting areas of Skagit County and Whatcom County, particularly the higher elevations and the foothills. And it keeps a lot of this precipitation on the coast to the northwest flank of the Olympic Peninsula. Now, in order to go farther into time, I'm going to switch over to the European deterministic model here. This is going to show total precip in inches as we go from 5 p.m. Sunday onward. So the frontal boundary really starts to move in as we go through the morning on Monday, and then it reaches the I-5 corridor sometime around Monday afternoon. It wants to bring a lot of beneficial precipitation to parts of the South Sound and areas west of the Hood Canal along the Olympics, but it doesn't bring much to this area of the Central Sound here, likely due to the Olympic rain shadow. And as we go farther in time on the European deterministic, we're getting into fantasy land here now. And I've been talking about this period more in depth on my subscribers tab on Facebook, as well as the intro forecaster tier on my Patreon, if you guys are interested in that. So as we go to the end of the European deterministic, this is way out to 360 hours, but it does have a lot of beneficial precipitation for our area. However, this should be taken with a grain of salt. Good news as well is we won't have much of a wind threat with this incoming frontal system this weekend as well. We will have some northerly winds come out ahead of the frontal system. See, coming down the Strait of Georgia, parts of the Strait of Juan de Fuca here. These are wind gusts on the NAM3 cam. Not too much, not even pushing 20 miles per hour really across the area. Then switching back to the European again to go farther into the future. The European does pick up some areas of possibly a westerly surge here south of the San Juan Islands and west of Whidbey Island, possibly producing wind gusts in the 35 to 40 mile per hour range across parts of the northwest interior, going into Monday morning as the front comes through. Then as the front moves out, winds come to a calm and we won't have to worry about the breezy conditions anymore for at least some time. But we are watching out too. It does want to pick up on a storm system coming into the area as we go from Tuesday into Wednesday. We'll have to be watching this pretty closely because some of these models were showing some stronger wind gusts around the area. In particular, if I pull up the Canadian model here, this is the Canadian deterministic, and around the Wednesday morning to Wednesday afternoon time frame, it does want to bring in some 40 to 45 mile per hour wind gusts across parts of western Washington, particularly those around the water and in the Nisqually River Valley area. I'm trying out a slightly different format today for the videos. I'm starting out with the weather models first, and then we're looking into the fire and air quality forecasts during the last half or so of the video. And so we're once again looking at the HER 3KM. This is the new 18Z model, 11 AM, the one that goes out to 48 hours, and we're looking at vertically integrated fire smoke. So this is smoke aloft, not necessarily near the surface. And it shows a lot of erratic smoke activity from these fires east of the Cascade Crest as this frontal system really begins to churn in this weekend. So it goes out to 45 hours at the moment. It's not fully rendered, but it does want to keep a lot of this smoke out of western Washington, thankfully. But see how it does have some of it moving into the foothills, surrounding vicinity. But good news is a lot of this should stay in the air and not mix down towards the surface. And then looking at surface fire smoke as well. So these, I believe, are some controlled burns. There's a fire up here as well in Snohomish County that has seen some growth, but not very much. And not seeing much from the Bear Gulch or Tunnel Creek fire as well, which is good news. It might be the models underdoing it as well, so I'll take that with a grain of salt, but it does want to keep a lot of the surface smoke east of the foothills over the next 48 hours or so. There's quite a bit to go over on the regional fire map. This is courtesy of watchduty.org. So we see the Bear Gulch fire has exceeded 20,000 acres. Lower Sugarloaf fire is pushing 35,000, and the Labor Mountain has exploded in intensity over the last few days with those strong westerly winds coming down through the gaps. It has officially jumped Highway 97 near Blewett Pass. So the Labor Mountain fire, it's only at 7% containment. It's at 25,327 acres, and it's currently moving towards the east at a rapid rate. Lower Sugarloaf fire seems to be pushing more to the southeast. It is at 32% containment, however, almost 35,000 acres, but is threatening some areas near the Entiat area. So do be sure to heed evacuation warnings if you do receive them. Notice a few areas of Kashmir, the outskirts of Kashmir, do have evacuation warnings in effect, just as a heads up. Poma's fire up here has seen some pretty substantial growth, but it's also near 50% containment, which is great news. This is the fire up in Snohomish County I was talking about, the Red Mountain fire. It hasn't seen much growth, thankfully, over the last few days, but it is there and it is producing some smoke. 73 acres with no containment information at this time. Wildcat fire has also been putting out a pretty considerable smoke plume seen from eastern Washington. Over 10,500 acres, only 6% containment, and continues its growth towards the northeast. This is threatening some areas of Goose Prairie, an unincorporated community in Yakima County, just east of Chinook Pass. So that's pushing to the east. And then our Bear Gulch fire is at the 20K mark. It continues to push off towards the northeast quite a bit. Only 5% containment at this time. And the Tunnel Creek fire is nearing 600 acres at 558 acres. No containment info. And is slowly trying to push off to the northeast. Current air quality conditions around the area are doing pretty good in the Seattle area. A little bit in the moderate to unhealthy for sensitive groups area as we go into Sequim and Port Angeles. Some moderate activity here in Victoria, BC. I believe this sensor is acting up, so let's not pay attention to that. Most likely, a couple of these sensors are outliers. However, it does show some degrading air quality here around the Bear Gulch fire as winds come to a halt. And then as we go out farther east, doing surprisingly well in parts of Okanagan and Chelan counties. However, as we go down into the Columbia River Valley near Wenatchee, it is considerably hazardous. But overall, surprisingly doing pretty well across parts of northeastern and north central Washington. Most of the hazardous air quality is focused to the central parts around these fires. And the near sensor in Goose Prairie by the Wildcat Fire is 196 micrograms of particulate matter per cubic meter of air. So very hazardous down there. Alrighty, everybody, that's going to begin to wrap up today's briefing. I have been exceptionally active on my Patreon. This is patreon.com/cw/PugetSoundStormwatch. Link is in the description, as well to all other forms of social media and ways of donating to the page. Thank you to everyone who has donated and continued to subscribe. And one thing I forgot to mention too, in all previous videos since I started Patreon, that I do have a 7-day free trial for the Intro Forecaster tier. Then it costs $1.99 per month. So if you guys want to try out this free trial, please do so whenever you feel like it. I do. So it has all of these posts completely unlocked to you if you continue with the subscription choice. Thank you all again for watching today. This was Anthony with Puget Sound Stormwatch. See you guys around for the next briefing or live stream.